What is going on, all you crazy bastardos? There is a lot of guides and videos on YouTube and a lot of different people and streamers talking about how to make money early on in the league or for league start, or how to make money general in Path of Exile. And this video is going to be a little bit about the overall money making that I feel like is going to be decent in the Ultimatum League. Now, in the Ultimatum League, we are getting many major changes for old content, and therefore this will be kind of interesting based on what I've seen from other leagues in the past. There might be some changes to how this is going to play out this league, but I think mainly it's going to be mostly the same. And we're also getting some added content this league, which will also play into the economy and overall money making. But I'm just going to go over a few points here that I think is going to be a pretty good way to make money. That isn't just like, oh, do the chaos recipe or use a loot filter, blah, blah, that kind of shit. Just some overall things that I don't really think a lot of people actually think about. Now, we're gonna start off with a hidden gem in Path of Exile, in my opinion, that I know for a fact a lot of people absolutely ignore and have been doing that for multiple leagues. And with the changes that we've seen the last couple of leagues and now the change in Ultimatum as well, I think that the prices of Prophecies will go up even more. Now, if we have a quick look at Pee-wee Antiquary, we can see the average prophecy prices in the Ritual League, and even though the top 3 ones are expensive due to them being very rare, those are not the ones we're going to focus on. Even Deadly Rivalry 5, which can have a chance this league to be quite expensive, but it depends on the nerfs to certain builds that utilize that item. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. The ones that we're looking at here are Unbearable Whispers, Unbreathing Queen, Plague Maw, and Fairlord 5. And why is that? There is a prophecy quest chain in order to go from 1 up to 5, you know, the V here. And these are worth quite a bit of money because people don't really want to do these. But these can give you keys that open up the Pale Court boss fight, and that one has multiple uniques that can only be dropped from there. And all the boss fights as well that you do individually, like Unbreathing Queen, can also drop items like Grip of the Council. And guess what? Grip of the Council was worth quite a bit of money in Ritual League, as you can see here. Even 2 weeks into the league, it's like 200 chaos, so it's worth a bunch of money. And these ones also, when you fight them individually, they also give you bench crafts as well that people struggle with getting overall. And a lot of people don't even know that they exist. So I think Prophecies will definitely be a major thing this league if you want to make some easy money. Alva Temples is getting a pretty major overhaul in the Ultimatum League, and this is actually a very good way to make money from now on, because in the past, double corrupts and double gemmed corrupts and what it may be, and even certain challenges has actually been pretty hard to sell through Alva Temples, because there were no way to sell Alva Temples. You had to do it through Discords. But now, since Path of Exile is introducing the way that we can trade Alva Temples, and with all the Atlas passive skill trees, Alva Temple farming is super easy. And this is actually going to be pretty big, because you can literally just pump out like double corrupt temples and you can sell them like crazy. In the past, double corrupts have been going for about 1 or 2 exalts in the middle of every league, and I've made a lot of money myself from doing double corrupts, and now it's going to be easier than ever. So definitely keep an eye out on farming Alva in this league. Now, another pretty hidden gem in Path of Exile is actually tied in with the Immortal Syndicate. A lot of people struggle a lot with unveiling certain items and actually getting their, like, unveil crafts for their bench. And one of the most prominent ones is actually jewelry that drops from Elrion. Now, almost every league that I played in the past, Elrion jewelry go for like 20 to 30 chaos, sometimes even more early on in the league, if they are not unveiled by yourself. If you see that the item is an Elrond jewelry, which you can see if you hold down your alt button and you have advanced mod description, you can see that it's Elrion unveiled. And if it's a jewelry item, then you can actually sell that piece for quite a bit of chaos to other people, because people want to buy those pieces so they can get their unveils and they can get their bench crafts, you know. And that's actually pretty good, because Immortal Syndicate farming has become much more easier now with the Atlas passive skill trees as well. And there's even some buffs this league for that stuff, where you can farm like intelligence much more faster, and there's super many ways to like spawn these guys and kill them. And you make good money overall from the Immortal Syndicate. You know, when you do the safe houses and all that stuff, it's worth quite a bit of money, all the things that you can make. And since certain scarabs and all that stuff is going to be harder to acquire from now on with the nerfs to the 100% delirium farming, then Immortal Syndicate is actually going to become quite better. Now, another thing that also kind of ties in with the Immortal Syndicate is that the boss Catarina is getting a pretty big overhaul this league, and the rewards overall from doing her is going to become better, and she also has this new really cool unique item that can be pretty powerful if you either just sell it if someone else wants to gamble, but otherwise it's kind of a gamble because you have to unveil 3 different unveils. But if you get 3 really good ones that have good synergy, I'm definitely sure you can make quite a bit of money from that. But in the past league, like Ritual for example, there was no lot of people farming Catarina, and if we actually have a look at some of the unique items that she drops early on, like the Devouring Diadem for example, now this might not be as interesting this upcoming league due to nerfs of certain characters that play this, but still, as you can see here, a week into the league it's around 200 chaos, and early on in the league it's worth quite a bit. Even though it drops down later on, it's still worth a little bit of money. But for example, the Cinder Swallow Urn is worth extreme amounts of money for the entire Ritual League, and especially early on, as you can see here, it's like 200 chaos, and then even like a month in it's at 160, etc. Now, the Cinder Swallow Urn is a great flask roll for many builds, but it's also used a lot for people who want to unveil the flask unveil so they can craft that on their flasks. And that's what makes this flask really interesting throughout the entire league, and specifically early on. So I think that killing Catarina is definitely going to be quite interesting this league. And also, she drops specific unveil items that you can sell to other people as well, because they are specific bench crafts in the game that you can only get from unveiling Catarina unveiled items. And I do believe that they're only weapons as well. Before I go into the last topic, I just really quickly want to go over this, by the way. Reliquary Keys is getting added to the game once again. And a lot of people are really hyped about this because Vol Reliquary Keys has the potential to give you some absolutely extraordinarily good items that is worth absolutely redonkulous amounts of currency in Path of Exile. But listen, it's a massive gamble. Just look at MP's video that he did before the Ritual League, where they opened a bunch of Reliquary Keys and they got absolutely nothing. It's going to be the same thing here in this league. It's a absolutely massive gamble, and you're probably better off selling the Vol Reliquary Keys if you get them. If you're struggling with currency, I would say only open these if you're already good on currency and you feel like you want to play around and gamble a little bit. But I mean, like, yeah, it's like hitting the jackpot. But if you do hit the jackpot, sure, you're absolutely rich as fuck. But Reliquary Keys is a massive gamble, so just keep an eye on that if you actually drop one. So the last thing I want to talk about is the overall Atlas and all the Atlas skill tree changes that's coming to the game, and how they're going to be impacting the game overall, and, you know, currency making and all that shit, blah 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 blah. So last league it was very prominent to farm like beasts, you know, for the splitting stuff. A lot of the top end people did that. Some people, you know, were farming Prendus for the headhunters, and others were doing this tower farming with the 100% delirious stuff. And same thing with Valdos Rest, where you just absolutely destroy Harbingers all day long and make hella money from that. You had Dunes farming and Legion farming in New Vastir, and then you had all your Harvest farming and Hayward Camel and all that stuff. So they're changing this up quite a bit. I think they want to balance it out a little bit more, where people don't only spend X amount of time in this and this area, and they are like a little bit more spread out. So Hayward Camlet, they're removing some of the Beyond stuff here, and they're adding Ritual stuff. So if you like Ritual League, this is definitely a good place to do that. The Harvest stuff is basically going to be the same overall. But essences are getting buffed quite a bit this league, and I think that farming essences in Hayward Hamlet actually might be pretty interesting. So keep an eye on that if you feel like that is a good way to make money. Maybe essences will be quite prominent this league, and that will actually be a good thing to do. Now, Tyrant's End, they're changing up a little bit the bestiary stuff here, and there actually is quite a bit of new bestiary crafts added to the game, so it might actually be pretty interesting to farm bestiary here. Also, Abyss is getting quite a big overhaul with some items only being able to be dropped from there, and they're also adding some new items, and they are updating some of the jewels as well, so that's going to be pretty damn interesting there as well. Invasion boss also getting a slight buff, but I'm not really sure how that really is going to impact that area. Now, Glennacarns, the culture advancement is moving over to Lex Proxima or Lexijoris or something, I can't really remember. But you're still going to be able to farm Alva Temples here pretty good. Contested development is really nice for, you know, upgrading tiers of rooms, so you can kind of spam farm, you know, double corrupts and all that shit as we talked about. And then, you know, you have your strong boxes, and the Legion farm is going to be decent, I guess. They're actually moving over high value targets over here, and they're moving protracted battle here instead. But high value targets is getting quite a bit of nerf, so it's not going to be the biggest thing in the world, but you know, it's going to be decent. And yeah, as I said, New Vastir, high value targets is getting removed, but we're still going to have war supplies and emblematic, which is still going to be pretty good. But we will not have Legion through the map device anymore, so you're going to have to do it by just randomly spawning them when you just do maps, or you're going to need Scarabs, and we're just gonna have to see where, you know, the price of Scarabs lands. But Rogue Trader, if I'm not mistaken, getting a pretty nice buff, but don't think it's gonna be that massive. And then Abyss, as we talked about just now, is also getting a little bit of a buff. And then, you know, you have your Nico if you want to do that, but Deep Delving is getting a pretty big nerf, so there's that. Baldo's Rest is gonna be mainly the same. I think this is a pretty good place to actually farm Immortal Syndicate stuff if you want to do that. Now, they are changing how the Harbinger stuff works here, and Diplomatic Escort is now being replaced by, instead of like this one Harbinger being able to be surrounded by like 5 extra, so you have like 6 Harbingers, it's just going to have 1 Harbinger, but it's going to be a King Harbinger. And a lot of people might think that this is a major nerf, which it could be, but I think this area will still be good. Every time you enter this map, you're always gonna have a Harbinger, and if it's like we think it is, you're always gonna have a King Harbinger. That means 2 of them, and the King one actually has some pretty good drops. So that means that you're guaranteed to make money every time you set foot in a Baldur's Rest map. While, for example, if you're doing like Legion stuff or Abyss stuff here, if you don't have those Scarabs, it's not guaranteed that every time you enter a map, you're gonna make money. But in Baldur's Rest, every time you enter this map, you're going to make some form of money at least. So you can just spam farm Baldur's Rest and still make good money. And alongside with that, as I said, you have your Immortal Syndicate stuff. You even have the Metamorph stuff, which is still pretty good here. And there are some changes to Metamorph, so you're going to be able to get some of those new nice items from there as well. That's going to be worth quite a bit of money. And then if you like Blight, then hell yeah, fucking kick Blight ass. They're doing some changes to Blight that's going to make Blight map farming even more prominent as well. So I think Baldur's Rest is definitely going to be one of the hotspots this league again. Leroy, I really don't like this area personally. I'm not a fan of Blight, but if these ones are good, then hell yeah, go for it. The Breach ones, in my opinion, is pretty fucking garbage. Not really looking to do anything in that area. If you want to farm Breach, then yeah, sure. But if you want to farm Breach, I would say Lex Proxima. We're going to get to that later on. We still have the nice Einar shit, you know, here, and the more likely to be less common varieties is a pretty cool way to get some of those boss fights, which is still going to be good this league, you know. And the smuggler stuff, everyone knows how good blueprints and doing these things are. A lot of people don't like doing it, but it is good money. Like, even though the league wasn't that much fun, people do still find that quite profitable if you actually care to do it. Lex Proxima, we have harvest stuff, blah blah blah. Heart of the Grove is actually getting a little bit of a buff, so you want to fight the boss at least once every league due to the fact that the boss can drop... No, actually, the first time you kill the boss, you will get 5 more spots in your harvest bench, which everyone has been asking for, so kill the boss at least once. And they're also doing some changes to the boss where I think you can trade the boss or something like that. I can't remember, but it's going to be a little bit more interesting for people who want to do it at least. And I mean, like, yeah, these bosses don't really drop a lot of good stuff, but I think they're upgrading that as well. Now, once again, you have the sulfite stuff here if you want to do that. I think it's great. Seance is getting a massive nerf. Apparently, it was kind of overpowered. I didn't really feel it. I didn't really hear a lot of the community speak out about it. But apparently, it's getting a massive nerf, so I don't think that's actually going to be interesting at all anymore. Now, Breach Stones and Breaches is getting quite a bit interesting update this league, where you'll be able to upgrade Breach Stones by adding a blessing to it. And I tried Within the Grasp, and I tried Invading Force last league, and it was horrible. This Breach bosses defeated in Ares have a chance to drop Breach Stone, and the Breach Stone has a chance to be pure. You did not encounter bosses almost ever, and when you did, oh yeah, there's a 10% chance to actually drop a Breach Stone, and then after the 10% chance, it's a 1% chance on top of that for it to be pure. I did it for quite a while. I felt like it was awful, but it could be more interesting now when you can just spam farm splinters, I guess, at least, because they drop a bunch of splinters. You can still get some of those Breach Stones here and there. And, you know, the more splinters you get, the more Breach Stones you can get. The more Breach Stones you do, the more blessings you can get. And therefore you can get a lot more pure Breach Stones overall, which is great for, you know, money making or like experience if you want to run them yourself. Lexijoris, we're getting the incursion stuff here is actually pretty nice, and I do believe that the cultural advancement is making its way up here instead, so you're going to have that. The pathological things and compulsive hoarder, and yeah, all the delirium stuff is getting a little bit of a nerf from what I understand, but it's still going to be like decent if you want to run Lexijoris. You're going to drop some maps, you're going to have some delirium here and there, and it's going to be decent. The Rogue Metamorph is getting a massive nerf where it's not guaranteed anymore, and I think they're also changing the finest sample, so not really too sure about the Metamorph stuff here anymore. Kadiro is getting a slight nerf where he only chooses the rarest of 3 items, but they're adding a much larger variety of items that Prentice can give, so we don't really know. This could actually be quite a big buff, because before you could like spam Kadiro, and yeah, sure, eventually you could get a Headhunter, but most of the time it was trash. Now it's probably going to be a little bit more even. You get some nice items, you get some bad items, and you have a chance to get the great items as well, of course. And I think I haven't gone over Hayward Camlet too much. There was... No, wait, yeah, I went over this. Yeah, I think I forgot to say, though, the Immortal Syndicate farming here is really nice as well. I think I like intelligence gathering quite a bit. Maybe I did say that though. But yeah, I think that's mainly it. And then, of course, you know, you have your Uncharted Realm, which is also great to make money. Gaze into the Abyss stuff and Garden Sade is great. You can drop a lot of Watch Sign. They're always, you know, worth quite a bit of money. The effective Watchstone modifiers and, you know, the Alva mission, the Sana missions and the missions overall is quite good. Especially now with all the changes to all these things, like, you know, getting close allies can be really nice if you want to spam those Alva Temples and you want to do the Sana missions to get all the crazy-ass maps. And I think that Neural Pathways is getting a buff as well, so this is now going to be a 1% chance for Synthesis map to drop from unique bosses tier 11 or higher. So, I mean, like, yeah, overall, it feels a lot more balanced. Like I said, I think Valdo's Rest is still going to be the hot spot. But almost every area now looks a lot more interesting with the Alva Temples and the Abyss and the Blights getting changes and Breaches getting changes. And yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more interesting to see people just farm a little bit of all the content instead of just going into a streamer and just seeing them doing, oh, fucking Valdo's Rest again, or they're doing Dunes and all that shit. I did a lot of that myself and I'm pretty bored of it, so I like that they're doing these changes. So, listen up real quick. I want you to go and find the biggest mallet that you can find. And then I want you to take the mallet and absolutely smash the shit out of the subscription button here on YouTube. Destroy that shit. Annihilate it, okay? And then I want you to go over to twitch.tv/burgerbrush. Hit the follow button. Next time you see me live, come into my chat, call me a dumbass, find the best insult you can find, and we're going to become the best of friends. So, yeah, do all that stuff, and thank you for watching the video, I guess.